Back in January, I had received a cold LinkedIn message. It was from a training company that partnered with leadership consultants to produce content and subject matter expertise and facilitate training for their clients. And when I saw this message in January, I glanced at it and I treated it like any other cold spam message coming into LinkedIn, never bothered with it. But 3 weeks ago, when I was using LinkedIn to message people about my webinar, the masterclass that I ran 3 weeks ago, this message popped up in my awareness as I was scrolling through the list of messages that I had received. And something told me to message this person back and said, okay, let's meet and have a chat. And this happened last week of June. And the very first meeting I had with this individual was on July 2nd, exactly 12 days ago. Fast forward today, you're looking at someone who has submitted a $1 million proposal in partnership with this company for an end client in New York. That one reply that I did intuitively, without using logic per se, became $1 million opportunity. Here's the deal. That opportunity was always in my reality. I was not ready to respond to it until now. The opportunity was always there. The message didn't change, but I did. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about in this video. What happens when you submit a $1 million proposal without blinking? Hi, my name is Ajita and welcome to my YouTube channel. With over 20 years of corporate executive experience, I am now the spiritual advisor and consciousness architect for tech founders, professionals, and senior leaders who are ready to upgrade their internal leadership capacity and consciousness so that they can lead at visionary scale. What I share with you in this video is my live business building experience. I am not building this business from hustle and grind. Instead, I'm using what I call the 7I pathway of conscious co-creation, where the 7 I's stand for infinite field, intention, identity, imagination, intuitive decision, inspired action, and inevitable results. This is my live case study of taking my business to $4.4 million in 12 months or less. Besides the 7I pathway of co-creation, I'm also using my proprietary framework, which is Epic Leadership Operating System, where the word Epic stands for E for Emotional Operating System, P for Physical Operating System, I for Intellectual Operating System, and C for Consciousness Operating System. This is the same framework that I use not only with my clients, but also I am applying in my business building that I'm sharing with you. Week by week, you will see invisible shifts creating visible results. We are now on week 22. Let's see what's shifted. So this week, the core incident was my finding a message, which was a cold LinkedIn message from January, and intuitively responding to meet with this person. So about end of June, when I was reaching out for my masterclass promotion, I came across this message from this person back in January, and intuitively I said, you know what, let's have a chat. And that meeting happened, the first meeting happened on July 2nd. Now I'm walking into this meeting thinking, okay, it might be some collaboration discussion on how we could potentially partner. I was walking in with absolutely no expectations, and I'm not even sure why I was meeting, but a part of me said, okay, let's have a chat. And when I walked into the meeting, it happened so that the person from that company who had reached out came in with an opportunity saying that we actually have a proposal that we are supposed to submit in the next 2 weeks. And this is what the client is looking for. And it actually became a direct conversation of an opportunity. I had not expected that. I said, this is right up my alley. I think I mentioned it in my last week's video where I submitted a proposal, or I was working on a proposal. And I said, I don't know where it's going to go, but hey, why not? That's exactly the attitude that I had. So I created the proposal. And this week, the big thing happened. So when I created the proposal, I was not working backwards from any total number of what the value of the proposal needs to be. I was simply picking a number. So I was playing with Claude, my AI partner, and I asked Claude, okay, so this is the deal. This is a likely competition. This is the structure. This is how I'm thinking of using as a design, how I want to approach designing the solution. So I was brainstorming with AI, and I asked, so what should be the pilot? So there's a pilot and then there's a rollout. So I asked, okay, what should be the pilot be priced at? And in my head, I was thinking really mid 5 figures. And it came back saying it should be in the $60,000 for the pilot. But then when I was reflecting, Friday or Saturday this past week, intuitively I felt called to increase the number for the pilot. I'm going to go with 100K. 100K is my pilot. Okay, So I decided this is it. There was no other logic behind why the 60K became 100K, okay? I just said intuitively 100K looks right to me. So I decided that's going to be the pilot number. Now, I also was tuning in and I knew deep down that the rollout was not going to be a flat fee. It was going to be a per head number. They were wanting to train about, I didn't even have the exact number handy. I think it was at that time I was thinking, okay, hundreds. They had hundreds of people to be trained. It's for a leadership development offering, right? So it's right up my alley. And so I said, okay, I didn't have the exact number of people. I said, per head, I'm going to go with $5,000. This is the number I got. Intuitively, done. So here I am creating the proposal, and in my rough calculation, math being so not great in my head, I'm doing the math and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm training 8 people for the pilot, that's 100K with the design curriculum, everything together, that's the fixed 100K for the pilot. And then the remaining is going to be maybe 90 people times 5,000, so it's a $500,000 proposal. I was like, okay, $500,000 sounds good, right, in my head. And then when I finished writing the whole proposal and I'm looking at the commercial section, because of course I used AI to write up everything, and I look at the number and the number says $1 million. I'm like, wait, what? And then I look at the specifics. It's 200 people being trained. So 8 people done for the pilot. The remaining number of people that I have is 192 people. 192 people being trained in the rollout times 5,000 per head is it's close to $960,000, plus my pilot 100K makes it $1,060,000. Okay, I was like, wow. The beauty about this is I didn't back calculate with this proposal being my $1 million proposal or nothing like that. I simply went based off of what felt right for each component, plugged it in, and this happened to be the result. So I emotionally, and going back into my epic lens of, okay, this is where it landed. So emotionally, I was actually in awe. For the first time, I was like, wow, this is synchronicity in action. It was not my logic. My human logical mind was not analyzing, saying this proposal has got to be this value, so work backwards, fit in your pilot number, your rollout number, nothing. It was pure intuition, bottoms up that I did that led to this number. So emotionally, I was actually feeling a sense of validation and gratitude. Validation from the universe saying that, yeah, this is perfect. This is perfectly how it unfolded for me. And my body, I've been moving my body a lot this week. And I've been walking, I've been keeping my body regulated, and I did have to do quite a bit of coaching for myself this week, and I'll tell you why. So Sunday was the day I submitted the proposal, and I submitted the proposal on Sunday, and on Monday we had, this is today, I'm recording this on Tuesday, so yesterday we had the 30-minute quick touch point where the person I submitted it to, the partner that I submitted the proposal to, and I were supposed to come back online to talk about any questions before he ships this out to the end client. And so before the Monday's call, my human operating system started coming in. I went into the human operating system mode and it started bringing doubts. Oh, what if he negotiates saying $5,000 is a lot per head? What if he says 100K for pilot is ridiculous? What if he this? And I simply had to say, no, that's not true. I had to coach my human operating system and I had to go on long walks. I think this week I've done a lot of 10K walks by putting on the voice recorder and coaching myself throughout. And I had to literally tell my human operating system, you are not welcome anymore. You've done your job of keeping me safe. You've done your job of making me doubt, of being in the fear mode. You are not welcome. You are going to sit in the back seat of my life. I, the leader, my leader operating system is the one that's driving this vehicle. I got this. There is no way this opportunity has come without the infinite field working through my intention. I set the intention for $4.4 million. I saw in meditation I was going to land 4 $1 million deals. It was a very clear knowing. And I didn't plan and maneuver and logicalize my way into this proposal to be $1 million, but it landed that way. And so for me, I was telling my human operating system, you are unwelcome right now. I know you're scared. I know you're doubting. I know you're worried, but no, thank you. Get in the back seat, sit there and watch where I'm taking you. A long coaching conversation with me and my human operating system. That was my, my body moving tremendously helped me with it. Intellectual operating system, my belief, right? The old belief was, if it was really an opportunity meant for me, I would have seen it in January. This is not something worthwhile, right? I would have completely discounted responding to that person. And the second belief that I had to also overcome and work through is doubt of, oh, what if this doesn't come through? The human operating system was playing in, right? That was coming in. What if this doesn't come through, etc. So I told myself, you know what? Submission of the proposal is my action. That's my responsibility. But the outcome being a positive yes on this proposal is not in my control. But guess what's in my control? Holding the frequency, the energetic frequency of arriving already at $1 million deal is my responsibility. And I totally committed myself to it. And this is what I was telling myself throughout the coaching that I was doing in my 10K walk. I told myself, it does not matter whether this proposal becomes a yes or a no. It really doesn't matter. What it gave me was this amazing expansion of my energetic field. I felt so good. I was like, dude, if you can manifest, if you can co-create an opportunity out of thin air by responding to a random message that came out in January, in June, and birth a whole new proposal where you are submitting it for a value of $1 million from your end without any doubts about it, that itself is a leap in consciousness. And so I'm telling myself, you have already arrived at the $1 million frequency. You are sitting in that frequency right now. And so even if this proposal doesn't come through, your frequency is holding that $1 million energy. So somewhere else it's going to manifest. It's going to come up somewhere else. And guess what happened as a result of this holding that energetic frequency and the knowing and the belief that I am a millionaire businesswoman, it became so clear to me. It became ultra clear to me that this is exactly the energy with which I'm going to make all other business decisions. So here's the other thing that happened in the event. So I'll intersperse this. I get my final IRS audit result back, and it's a big pile sitting right behind me. And despite engaging the lawyer, who I have paid almost $24,000 to handle this case for me, the outstanding amount dropped by $70,000. It's a lot for somebody, but let me explain how much I still owe, right? I think I had $285,000, if I remember from memory. I didn't check back, and now it's down to $210,000. So I still owe $210,000 in back taxes, which is for the years 22, 23, 24, 3 years. I'm supposed to pay IRS $140,000 of tax plus penalties, which all totals up to $210,000. Okay, so I get that, and it took me 30 seconds to feel bad about it, cry, and I snapped out of it immediately. And I told myself, this documentation came to me on Friday, okay? And then Saturday, I'm doing this proposal, sitting and doing this proposal, and then I see it's $1 million worth of proposal. And I'm like, you know what? I made the decision immediately. I wrote on Friday evening when I got the IRS packet, I wrote to my lawyer and I asked, what am I supposed to do with this? Because it's still a sizable amount. She came back and said, it's not good for us to keep the audit open. Let's close it. We can go and apply for refund of penalties. That's about $30,000. And then we'll have to work out a payment plan. That was her suggestion. Now here's the thing. I had two options. I could fight with it and say, you know what, I hired you to reduce the, expense, but you've got not much done, blah, blah, blah. I could have gone offensive on her, or I could have gone back into the energy of me being the multimillionaire that I am and made a decision from that place. So I said, you know what, opportunity. Universe has given me an opportunity. I immediately decided on Saturday. This is even before I did the proposal, by the way. I immediately decided, and I wrote to my lawyer saying, let's close the case. Let's get the audit closed. I trust you. Let's figure out a payment plan. That's it. I didn't even blink an eye. I made that decision immediately, wrote to the lawyer, and closed the whole IRS chapter. In my life, in my mind, it's already done. I have to pay $210,000. Fine. Why? Because I'm thinking from the end of being a $4.4 million revenue woman. If I had $4.4 million in my business revenue, paying and 4.1 as profit, and paying, even after paying taxes, I have plenty to pay $210,000, right? Why would I nitpick on it? Why would I haggle? The only reason I will fight on that is if I have scarcity mindset. And I'm not that person anymore. I have completely changed my operating system to be one of abundance mindset. There's plenty of money available for me, and I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it by doing things like these, right? The second thing I did this week, besides dealing with the IRS thing, is finding a venue for my milestone birthday happening in September. Booked it, used the credit card, booked the venue, and sent out the invitation for everybody that I wanted in that party to be present. Some are out of station, some are local. Every one of the person I have invited for my milestone birthday are people that have supported me in the last 10 years plus of this journey. Of course, families longer than that, but these are people that have supported me in every step of the way. When I was doing network marketing, some of these people took time to meet with me, use some of the products that I have sold to them. Some of these people gave me opportunity to sing for the first time. Some of them invited me to their parties and honored my presence in their parties. Some of them bought art from me. And many of them have been my clients. Many of them are my coaches. So I am inviting all the people that have had an impact in making me who I am today. And I'm treating this party as my graduation of who I have become in this long journey in this planet. So I was not in the mindset of, oh my God, I've just been hit with a $210,000 IRS back tax audit fee, and I'm not going to celebrate anything. I'm going to, conserve. I'm going to save. No, that's not me. I am living in the end of the energy of someone who has made $4.4 million, and I'm making decisions from that place. Okay. The third thing, because I was in this millionaire frequency, I said, this is who I am. This opportunity, this proposal, whether it comes through or not, it has taught me what it is to be in the frequency of millionaire. And from that place, I decided I am now committing to engage with a ad agency for the next 12 months. No more 1 month engagement, testing the waters, nothing. No, commitment, full commitment. Is it uncomfortable? Heck yes. But this is exactly why I need to be doing it, because that's what is asking of me to grow. Right now, I've gone back to one of the agencies that I evaluated in the beginning before I chose the one that I chose last month. This time I'm going back to them and I'm committing to a long 12-month commitment and starting the ads process for my B2C. So what I'm doing essentially is I'm living in the energy of being a multimillionaire and making decisions from there for both my B2C, which is direct to consumer offerings for people, individuals, and to B2B. Intellectually, my belief system completely shifted, and the biggest shift was in the consciousness layer. Why? Because I took on the identity that I am a millionaire. It's not that I did that this week, by the way. That identity shift happened when I launched my masterclass. Why? Because I was in the energy, because I was intuitively asked to do the masterclass on June 23rd. I remember. Okay. And I followed that intuition, even though I felt uncomfortable. I knew ad may not work, so I may not have anybody coming into my first masterclass only through ads. So I had to reach out. I reached out to 100 people, all through intuition. It's not a free masterclass, so it was a paid masterclass. So I reached out purely out of intuition. It made me feel uncomfortable, but I was in the energy of someone who already had achieved the outcome of being a millionaire. In that energy is when I noticed the message from this person, right? It came in January. So the identity shift is what made the opportunity really become evident for me. My intuition spoke to me because I was in the identity, going back to the 7i pathway, infinite field, intention. I've connected to infinite field. I set the intention of $4.4 million in a particular duration. And then I took on the identity that I am a $4.4 million businesswoman, right? That's the identity. And then I've been imagining how that's going to feel like, look like, what I'm going to do. And then I'm making these intuitive decisions. The intuitive decision involved launching the masterclass for B2C and looking at my, LinkedIn messages. And that intuition is what made me respond to this person who had reached out to me in January. So I took that intuitive action. And I had no attachment or expectation. I just took the intuitive decision to reach out. And then we had the meeting. And then it quickly became an opportunity. And so on Sunday, I sent the message out, the proposal out. And then on Monday, when I met with this person, it was an incredible call. There was zero negotiation on pricing. Zero. He comes on the call. He said, I spent a whole day reading your proposal. It's extremely thorough. I'm not surprised because I started my career as a pre-sales consultant writing proposals. Okay, that's what I started my career with, right out of MBA, engineering and MBA. That was my first job. Almost every person who has read my proposals that I have done for B2B submissions, which I've done many in the last, even the 7 years that I've been in business for myself, I've worked with a third-party company. I've submitted leadership and agile coaching proposals, and my proposals are really thorough. So I literally walked through the whole scenario. What questions would the client have if I were them? And I took care of every element. So obviously he said the proposal is thorough. He also was concerned about, effort. he said, oh, you and my company, we're going to have to do a lot of work for this magnitude of proposal. And I said, I immediately interrupted and I said, more money does not equal more effort. More money means more impact. We're going to have a large impact in this organization for the client. That's all that matters. We don't have to do too much work. In fact, the proposal has been written in a way that the client's own leaders who are in the program are going to be heavy lifting. And that's by design, because otherwise they will not own the change that we are bringing to their organization. So what I am celebrating is this, right? For someone who submitted a $350,000 proposal in November last year, fast forward 6 months now, submitting $1 million proposal and not having a single negotiation on pricing, that means I have claimed my value. That is what I'm celebrating. Because I was so confident that the person, this partner that I'm working with, he literally tells me, we've got to have you in the client call because I don't think I or my people can be so confident and convinced about this. And I said, I know, bring me in, that's why I'm here, and I can sell this in my sleep. Why? Because I'm convinced that after having seen done so many leadership trainings, after facilitating so many trainings and change management initiatives, I know deep in my bones that the proposal that I'm giving, the design that I have created, the mechanics with which I'm looking to deliver this program is the only way, literally the only way change will stick in that organization, no matter which organization. So I said, any reason the client has why this won't work is the exact reason why they're going to stay stuck in the place that they are without making progress. That's how confident I was. So there was confidence, there was certainty, there was worth and the value that I was bringing that was exuding in my energy. The guy didn't have anything to say. He's like, I'm going to take this, change the investment to reflect the markup, brand it in my company's name, and I'm shipping it. This is it. This is what I'm celebrating. And this, which layer had the most impact? Consciousness operating system. Identity that I've literally coached myself into. Saying, no, we're not even negotiating. There is no negotiation. I was willing to walk away. If he were to ask me to reduce even $1 out of the pilot or of the per head pricing that I had given, I was ready to walk away saying, okay, this is not meant for me. That's how certain and confident I was in that conversation. This is what I'm celebrating this week, right? Despite the IRS audit blip and everything else as life happens, I'm celebrating being in the energy of someone who's already arrived at that outcome and continuing to focus on that as my reality. Nothing in my external reality right now is anywhere remotely close to showing that reality to have happened, and that's exactly why I'm not buying into it. The more I focus on what is, the more I'm creating what is. The more I'm focusing on what it is that I desire, the more I'm creating what I desire. So energy flows where attention goes. If your attention is on what's not there in your reality right now, that's what you're creating more of. If your energy and focus is on what it is that you desire and want, that's what you're creating more of. So that's what I wanted to share with you in this session today. So what's in it for you? How can you apply this? Here is what I always tell my clients, and I did share this with my Epic Leaders Collective group as well this week as I was sharing all this real-time happening, is opportunity is all around us. Every opportunity. Are you looking to become the next best artist? Are you looking to become your own business owner? Are you looking to do very well in a new profession that you've never done before? Are you looking to get promoted in the current organization? Doesn't matter what your desire is. Whatever it is that you desire, opportunities to fulfill that are all around you. The only reason you are not spotting it is because of your own internal operating system, especially your consciousness operating system, who you believe you are. That is the one thing that's holding you back from creating that particular opportunity in your reality. I always say this, opportunity could be dancing naked in front of you. You will not see it because your filter is not going to allow for you to see it. And the filter is your epic operating system. Emotionally, you may be afraid. Physically, your nervous system is incapable of handling that growth. Intellectually, you have beliefs that don't seem to match this opportunity that you're looking for. And identity-wise, you don't seem to hold the identity of someone who really is saying yes to that opportunity. That is the internal shift that truly moves the needle for you and gets you closer to the outcome. So having said this, I also did my session 2 of my swimming class, and I was a little bit more fearful than I was in the first session for whatever reason, but I'm getting better at it. I'm celebrating the fact that I did go. I survived. And I also went to the deep end this time, 12 feet deep end this time. Of course, not alone, with the swimming teacher. But these are all celebrations that I'm observing. I'm making progress. I'm overcoming fear at every step of the way. And that's really, for me, the growth. I was reading this book called Home with God by Neil Donald Walsh. In there's a beautiful paragraph that he talks about is all core issues that we don't solve in this lifetime for ourselves, we end up coming back into another iteration and working through those same issues. And when Neil asks, okay, what are those core issues? The response from God is the core issues are fear of abandonment, not being good enough, not being worthy enough, this illusion of separation. The false thought that you have about you is a core issue. Ultimately, all core issues, regardless of what form they take, it comes down to the one question, which is, who am I? And so, everything you're watching in this video week by week that I'm sharing is I'm answering that question for myself on a very deep level. Am I believing in the illusion of I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'm abandoned? These are all illusions. These are all lies that we have bought into to be our truth. And my job in the last 10 years has been peeling layers and layers of these lies. I'm not enough, I'm not loved, I'm abandoned, I'm rejected, all these lies. I'm peeling all of this, saying this is not me, this is not me, this is not me. And in the process, I'm discovering who I am. I'm discovering how powerful I am. I'm discovering how brave I am. I'm discovering how talented I am. I'm discovering how inspiring I am. If you don't peel off what is a lie, you won't find your truth. One last thing I'll leave you with in this video is, what identity statements or what are those lies that you have bought into about your own self that if you were to peel off from your reality, from your operating system, can expose you to opportunities that you are so longing and waiting for? Reflect on that question. Share with me in comments if you are called to, and share this video with other people that might benefit from it. Subscribe to this channel, because this content is only going to get better and better and better, because I'm so close in terms of externally co-creating and bringing the reality of the $4.4 million. And you don't want to miss it when I hit those milestones one by one. I want you to be here. I want you to be commenting saying, I was there when you launched that very first video on this series, and I'm here when you have reached that milestone. I want to hear from you, and I love you all so much. I'll see you next week.